At the world's most exclusive resort, every guest arrives with a reason. Some come to escape, others searching for something they've lost. But Noah Jensen arrived with a purpose. The whispers started the moment she stepped through the doors. A best-selling author known as much for her elusive nature as for her acclaimed novels, choosing to check in during the quiet off-season. It didn't go unnoticed. As she crossed the marble lobby, heads turned. But Noah's eyes were fixed on just one person. Vivienne Laurent, the resort's poised and enigmatic general manager. Vivienne had dealt with important guests before, diplomats, celebrities, billionaires. But something in Noah's gaze shook her. It was the look of someone who knew her. Someone she couldn't quite place, and yet couldn't forget. In the days that followed, their paths crossed again and again. Always casually, always wordless. At breakfast, during evening wine service, in passing. Their eyes lingered, but their lips never spoke. While other guests sought luxury and leisure, Noah spent her afternoons alone on the beach, writing, watching the tide, waiting. And Vivienne, against her better judgment, kept finding reasons to be nearby. One afternoon, she gave in. With a bottle of the resort's signature protective serum in hand, she approached under the guise of guest care. Noah looked up, calm, deliberate. "You've really made something of yourself," she said, smiling softly. "Running the world's most exclusive resort. A long way from those cafés in Paris." The word Paris hung in the air. Vivienne stiffened. A faint, familiar ache stirred in her chest. She had met so many people over the years. How could she forget this one? That night, beneath lanterns in the resort's garden courtyard, truth found its way to the surface. Noah told her everything. A fleeting encounter in a small Paris café. Years ago, Vivienne, then an overworked executive, offered a few words of advice to a lost 19-year-old girl. Words that unknowingly rewrote the course of her life. "You said, if you're not ready to fall, don't even try to get up." I carried that with me for years. It terrified me, and it made me brave. Vivienne struggled to place her. The young woman with uncertain eyes. The brief, forgettable moment. Except now, it wasn't forgettable at all. Noah wasn't done. "What you don't know is that I stayed. I watched you work. I fell in love with a stranger in a Paris café. And I've spent the last 15 years growing into the kind of woman who might have the chance to find you again." The confession landed between them, heavy and undeniable. Vivienne tried to process it. This stranger's devotion, the echo of her own words. The years she'd forgotten that someone else had been remembering. And then, suddenly, she wasn't confused anymore. She was ready. For what had been waiting. For what had finally come back to find her. Their kiss was quiet, like tasting rare wine. Like touching a memory that never stopped breathing. All around them, the world fell silent. The distant sound of piano from the hotel lobby drifted on the wind. But in that moment, they had found their perfect silence.